All right, joining me now, President of America First Legal and former senior advisor to President Trump, Stephen Miller. Stephen, great to have you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So let's get your first initial reaction to the third indictment of Trump. And again, specifically, this is centering around the events that happened on January 6th of 2020. What are your thoughts on these indictments, these charges?
Well, first, let me say, as an American, as a citizen, as an individual who worked in the White House in the West Wing for 4 years, as somebody that worked in the Trump campaign prior to that, on every level, I am outraged, I am incensed, I am deeply and immensely disturbed by this indictment. It is a facial threat to the freedom of speech, and freedom itself in America. And let me explain what I mean by that. This indictment says, in not so many words, that if we, the Department of Justice, and prosecutors at the Department of Justice, believe that you as a citizen or as an elected official are not telling the truth as we recognize it, that we can throw you in jail, that we can charge you with a conspiracy to defraud the United States. If we say that your speech is disinformation. And that, to me, is crossing a Rubicon that I never thought that we would cross in America. And yet now here we are. We are now trying to jail people for life because the government does not agree with their speech and their political views.
Yeah. In essence, if you question what they're saying, the deep state, the government, the president, their attorney, if you question it, you could be called up, hauled in front of a grand jury, and maybe even charged with crimes against the state. It's insane. Crybaby Adam Kinzinger is now no longer a member of Congress. He's really working hard to get his gig over at CNN going on. Listen to what he had to say comparing January 6th to something I experienced. I was at 9/11. This is mind-boggling, blowing. Watch.
You think of Rudy Giuliani, you know, America's mayor after 9/11. That's not only not caring about this really craziest attack since 9/11 to happen in this country, he's actually fueling it. And I think what's obvious is, and I think this will come out even more when we get all the details or when the case actually gets underway, is during the 100-some minutes, 187 minutes that Donald Trump, that the attack on the Capitol is happening, Donald Trump he's not just sitting there doing nothing. He is proactively resisting.
9/11, 19 Saudi terrorists murdered 3,000 Americans, and somehow an uprising against what people thought was an unfair election. He compares it. Your thoughts on Kinzinger and CNN?
Yes, well, this rhetoric, this deeply irresponsible rhetoric, continues to be used to justify the extraordinary stripping of Americans' rights by the security state. And that's what this has all been about. The effort to paint conservative Americans, to paint those who criticize the establishment, who criticize the administration of elections in this country as enemies of the state, as domestic terrorists, is used as the pretext to deny Americans their fundamental rights, culminating now in the prosecution of President Trump. But let's be very clear. If this indictment succeeds, if it's allowed to go forward, if this is allowed on any level to result in the imprisonment of the president, it will not end there. That will be the beginning. And what will follow from that will be a new dystopian age in this country, where if you run afoul of the Department of Justice, if you spread information that they regard as misinformation or disinformation or malinformation, if you petition for a redress of grievances through our legal system to your politicians, but it's believed that what you are seeking is somehow predicated on what the government believes is untruth or fraud, that you can be imprisoned, that you can be jailed, that you can be locked up. That's what this is about. And so let's not kid ourselves. This is the transition into banana republic territory. This indictment reads like a fever dream written by Adam Schiff and Dan Goldman and crazy analysts at MSNBC, completely unmoored from law, truth, justice, precedent, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, or any case law at all. That's what we're dealing with here, Eric.
And look, let's recall the events that this latest round of indictment charges, indictment are surrounding January 6th. Again, folks, there are a lot of questions about January 6th. Like it or not, it's not science. It's not clear exactly what happened that day. A lot of people feel the feds were planting some assets in the crowd and assisting, hyping the crowd up. Go in, get in there. Take a listen to Christopher Wray, FBI director, no less, Christopher Wray, being grilled on Capitol Hill in a hearing about FBI undercover assets on January 16. You tell me if this guy is being forthcoming. Listen.
How many agents were actually agents or human resources were present at the Capitol complex and vicinity on January 6th?
Well, again, it's going to get confusing because it depends on when we deployed and responded to the breach that occurred. Obviously,
how many were under
federal agents?
Please don't distract here because we're focusing on those who were there in an undercover capacity on January 6th. How many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene.
Did you have any assets present that day in the crowd?
When it comes to what you're calling assets or what we would call confidential human sources, sure. That's a place where, again, I want to be careful.
Yeah, again, Stephen, confidential human sources. You know what you never heard? Well, none, Representative Biggs. There were none. There were no undercover FBI assets on the scene on January 6th. You never heard that, did you?
Well, it is truly stunning and remarkable and also completely unacceptable that here we are now years later and the Department of Justice and the FBI cannot give a straightforward answer to a very fundamental question about law enforcement assets that were in the crowd on that day. It is a very basic, uncomplicated question, which is, of course, then raises the other question of why is the government so determined not to provide an answer? Why are they so unwilling to ask a basic question? What did they know? When did they know it? And what did they do with the information that they had? And what overall are they trying to cover up? All those questions are perfectly legitimate inquiries to be asked by Congress, and the refusal of Director Wray to answer those questions simply begs more questions.
Yeah, and we would hope, Stephen, appreciate you coming on, we would hope that if this does go forward to a trial for President Trump being tried, we hope we learn some of those things, like how many assets, why were they undercover FBI assets, what were they doing, which ones were they, because we would like to see the videotape of what those FBI undercover confidential human sources were up to on January 6th. Stephen Miller, great having you on. Thank you for your time.